Are you a student and are looking to get a job after university? You come to the right place, because in today's video, I'm going to share with you how you can get a job as soon as possible after you've graduated. Watch this video to the end to learn the mistakes a lot of students make and also what you can do differently to get your dream job straight after university. Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Jo Randolph, and on this channel, I share with you how to get your dream job and build a career doing something you love. If you want to watch videos like this, come and join us and subscribe. I post new videos every single week. So let's talk about university and graduating and getting a job. It's so nerve-wracking and anxiety-creating, right? I mean, you're thinking, how am I going to do this? Where am I going to work? What's going to happen to my career and my life? And was my university degree even worth it? Well, let's first discuss a mistake that you want to avoid when you're thinking about working after university, which is delaying. I made this mistake and so many people do, and it makes sense. You need uni and or college, depending on where you're watching this from, and you're thinking, I am so busy with my studies, with my exams, with my dissertation, with my modules, I don't have time to look for a job right now. But here's the thing, if you delay looking for a job and you don't have a clear plan for what companies you want to work for, you actually miss great opportunities to get the job that you need in order to build the career that you want. So it's really important that instead of delaying until you have the time to look for a job, that you get ahead of the game, you get super organized, and you understand exactly when you need to apply and who to apply to boost your chances of getting hired straight after university. Now, the tips that I'm going to share with you are relevant whether you are applying before you graduate, but also after you graduate, because I've had a few people who've done my Get Your Dream Job Bootcamp, for example, and they have been able to get a job after they'd been looking for a job 1 year after graduation, in addition to helping students who are still in their final year and they've been able to secure a job that started straight after they finished graduating. So the point is, the tips I'm going to share with you today work regardless of what situation you're in. Now, the first tip that I'm going to recommend is that you first get clear on what job you want to do. Now, this might sound like an easy thing to say, but in practice it's a difficult thing to do, because for many students, you don't actually really know what you want to do after university. You have so many options, and even though that might sound like a great thing, it can also be a bit overwhelming. I'll never forget a client, one of my first clients that I ever worked with. She was so indecisive about what job to do after uni that she wanted to choose with the flip of a coin. Now, I have figured out a way to help people get clear on what they want to do. For example, I've got a career clarity course. If you want to check out that course, the link is in the description box below. But I totally recommend that you first get clear on this. And why does this matter? Because the worst thing you can do for your job search is to apply anywhere and everywhere. And the reason being is that it's kind of, I don't like using guns as an analogy because I'm not a shooter, but this is the only way that I can explain it. It's kind of like having a gun where you're just kind of shooting everywhere, but you're not aiming anywhere. And if you don't aim anywhere, you're not going to hit a target. But if you know exactly what you want to hit, and if you know exactly what you want to get, you end up being a bit more like a sniper. And you know, you're just there, you know the job, you know the opportunity, you know what you want to do, and you hit it right where it's supposed to be hit, and you get that job. And that's kind of what you want to do. Now, I don't really like the gun analogy because I don't like guns, but I hope you get my drift in terms of the and the, you know, like one hit, got the job, as opposed to wasting so much time, i.e. bullets, on something that doesn't hit anything. Think about it like if you were to go to the airport, because I'm guessing that you like traveling. So imagine if you wanted to go somewhere, but you didn't know where you wanted to go. If you just turn up to the airport on a random day and a random time, expecting to catch a flight, you might find that on that day, there are no flights for you to catch. Maybe you're traveling at a time when all the flights are fully booked and you can't get a flight that day. And that might happen for a while. But then one day you get on a flight and it takes you somewhere, and maybe you end up in Timbuktu, and you end up somewhere that you didn't even know existed, and you don't even want to be there. And when you do this, sometimes people do this in their job search. They don't know where they want to go. They don't know what they want to do, and they just wait and they see what happens. And sometimes they end up landing and getting a job doing something random that's almost not related to their job, their student studies, or not related to what they're passionate about, and it takes them down the wrong career trajectory. So what I always recommend is actually be intentional. If you're going to go to the airport, know exactly where you want to go, know exactly what city you want to get to, and even if you've missed a flight, i.e. even if you've missed a job opportunity because the vacancies are closed, you'll be able to look out for the next flight or the next job opportunity, and then you'll be able to get on that flight or get that job opportunity. So that's what I totally recommend. The second thing that I would recommend is to also go to job fairs. So if you're still studying, job fairs are essential. And even if you've just graduated, you might still be able to go to the job fair at your university. And I've actually got a separate video on how to get interviews from your job fair. So simply click on the link in order to learn what you need to do in order to get job interviews from your job fair. But a lot of people assume that job fairs aren't that valuable for getting interviews, and that is wrong. Most people attend job interviews not doing anything. They just grab freebies. But the really savvy graduates or students, what they do is they learn how to turn this as an opportunity to network with recruiters who might be making decisions on who to invite for an interview and who to hire. So watch that video in order to learn how to network and to get a job interview from your job fair. The next thing that I also recommend is to be on top of the milk round. So I'm sure you're familiar with the term milk round, but if you're not, milk round is basically a time of year, usually 2 times of years, when big companies are essentially trying to get as many graduates as possible into their company, and they usually have graduate placements, graduate jobs, and they could literally be recruiting multiple people to join their organization at one time. Milk rounds are amazing because they give you the opportunity to apply to work at big corporations. So if you want to work in consulting, if you want to work in banking, if you want to work in a certain industry where they have milk rounds, it's a great time of year. But there's a catch. Well, there's 2 catches. One is that everybody knows about these opportunities, so they have so many applicants and applications to go through, so it becomes really competitive and very difficult to stand out. And 2, these opportunities are only available for a limited time only. You have a short window for when you can apply for them. Now, if you want to get this job, you have to spend the time researching everything you can about the company. I have a separate video on how to research companies. Click on the link above and research everything you can about the company and write your best ever CV. I just have a separate video on how to create a standout CV. If you do this, then you boost the chances of you getting a job interview. The next thing that you want to do is you then want to think about internships. Are there any internships that you want to do? Sometimes I've received comments from people saying, I don't want to do an internship. I'm graduating. I need a real job and I need the money. But here's the thing. Sometimes if you've missed the opportunity, like if you've missed the milk round or if you've missed chances to get the experience that you need to get a proper graduate job, this is probably the only time in your life when you can afford to do an internship. And even if it might be unpaid or might be low paid, the fact that it's an internship could be career and life-changing for you because it can actually give you the experience that you need in order to work in the industry that you want. So instead of wondering whether you want to get paid or not, start thinking about how can I get the experience? And internships are a great way of getting the experience you need in order to get that big job that you want. And I once said to someone that doing a few months internship of no pay is nothing if that means that you get to spend the rest of your life doing something that you love. However, if you do a job that is irrelevant to the job that you want to do in the long run, that actually makes it a lot more difficult. So even if you get paid now to do a job, if it's irrelevant, it actually distracts you from the job that you want to do, and it takes you down a different career trajectory. And the pain, the struggles that you'll experience as a result of that can literally last a lifetime. So I always recommend focus on what you want, do the internship if you don't have experience, and try not to think about the money. I know it's easy to say try not to think about the money since I'm not the one looking at your bank account every day, but what I'm trying to say is that you will get paid eventually and you will get that job that you want eventually. And sometimes you have to make sacrifices, or you have to ask for help, or you have to find a way to make it work. But whatever you gotta do, make it work if it means that you get to do the job that you really want to do, and you get to set yourself up to work in a career that is really important to you. And another way that you can get a job is to also make connections by working with someone who can help you in your career. So for example, when I was younger, I knew that I wanted to work in business, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. I ended up working for an investor, and he was a multi-millionaire, if not close to a billionaire. He was amazing because not only did he give me great business advice, he also ended up being the person to teach me the first things that I needed to learn on how to get a job. And I worked for him as his personal assistant. Now, when I first applied for the job, I didn't know who I was going to be working for, but I knew that it was an executive because I was going to be a personal assistant to an executive. And this person ended up playing a big role in my life because he ended up connecting me to the CEO of the first company to hire me and give me my full-time job. And even though I didn't get the job because of that connection helped me get my CV and helped me get an interview. And then I had to do the rest of the work in terms of convincing them to hire me. And I also had to do an internship first, and I did the internship for 2 weeks, and I worked my butt off in that internship. In that internship, I asked them to extend it to a summer internship, so I ended up working as a summer intern, making pretty much no money. I did that for about 3 months, and I actually ended up asking a friend if I could stay at their house for 3 months because I couldn't pay for rent. So I stayed at a friend's house for 3 months, and yeah, and the impact of that is that by the end of that 3 months, they said, you know what, we'll offer you a job. And I was starting my final year at uni. They said, we'll offer you a job, and can you work part-time? So I ended up working part-time whilst I was in my final year at university. And then when I finished my final year at university and I was about to finish, my contract came to an end, and they said, we'd love to have you on board as a full-time member. And they gave me a full-time job offer. Now, that is kind of how I did it. So I did a combination of doing an internship, not getting paid, then turning that internship into a part-time job, then turning that part-time job into a full-time job. And all that started by me working as an assistant for someone else. So sometimes the way that you get your job after graduating, it isn't as simple as I graduated, I applied for a job, and I get an offer. Some people, it is that straightforward, but for a lot of people, they do little things along the way that help them connect the dots and lead them to the job that they get after university. And then another thing you can do is you can create a project of your own. So this is something that I did, and having a project that you're passionate about that shows your skills can be an excellent way to stand out as a candidate, and can also help hiring managers to think about hiring you. So for example, I created a blog that ended up attracting over 1 million views a month. When I created this blog, I had no intention of it being a blog that was generating so much traffic, but it ended up generating a lot of traffic. And just the fact that I created this blog and I was passionate about entertainment and health and lifestyle and wellness meant that when I got job interviews, people would ask me questions about it, and it ended up meaning that I ended up getting opportunities that I wouldn't have otherwise received had I not had this project. So having a side project, even if you're doing it just for fun, even if it feels like it might not be all that relevant to the job that you want to do, having that side project shows your initiative, it shows that you're a leader, it shows that you are passionate about something, and sometimes that in itself can actually help you stand out and get job interviews and get job offers. And then last but not least is to do a job that's a stepping stone. Sometimes I've worked with clients who really want to work for a big organization, whether it's a bank, a consulting company, or some other industry, or a big company in some other industry, and they only look at the big companies. And I think it's awesome that if you want to work at the big companies, that you have these ambitions and you know what your ambitions are and you're not afraid of them, you just go for it. But there is one thing that I also recommend, which is to also look at small companies that would help you get relevant experience. Because when I think about organizations, there isn't only one way to work at a big company. So let's say, for example, if someone wanted to work at Facebook, Google, Citibank, or BCG, McKinsey and Company, whatever big companies you want to work at, if you want to work at those companies, you don't only get the chance to work for them now. You can literally end up working for them when you're 25, 30, 35, 40. I actually remember one colleague that I worked with who had worked as a marketing consultant, and he ended up working towards being a director, and he'd only worked for small companies, including one of the companies that I worked for, which was a small company when I joined, but it ended up turning into a much bigger organization. But point is that he'd worked at small companies, and at 40 something, he got hired at Google. And I remember when he got hired at Google, people at the office were so jealous of him because he had this amazing job, and I believe he's still there. And he would not have gotten that job if he didn't have all the experience that he gained at the previous job. So if you're doing a job that doesn't look as glamorous or doesn't look as impressive in terms of the company name, the company brand, don't worry. The company name, the company brand, in some respect, it's a bit egotistical. It's kind of like, I want to work for a big company because what does that say about me? When really the most important thing is, what skills am I learning? What skills am I developing? And how can I become a master at what I want to do in the field that I want to work in? And if you're a master at anything, you can end up working anywhere because, well, you're a master at it. So those are my tips for how to get a job after university. Now, in terms of how to actually get a job, I have so many videos on this on my YouTube channel, so definitely check out my YouTube channel. I also have a free training that you can sign up for that gives you an idea of the steps that you need to take in order to get hired. To check out that course, simply click on the link in the description box below. I would love to know, how have you been feeling about your job search whilst you've been studying or since you've been graduating? So just let me know by leaving a comment in the box below. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I shall see you again next week. All right, bye. Oh, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. All right, bye. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you like this video, hit the like button and subscribe to my channel for new videos, and click the bell button in order to get notified whenever I post new videos. There are so many more videos you can watch right now, so click on the video on the left or the right, or the left or the right. I can't wait to see you next week.